meeting of the month. I am calling the meeting to order. And at this time, is Pastor Seifert, if she would come forward, if we can stand and remain standing, she will lead us with the prayer. And after that, Councilman Day will lead us with the pledge. Good morning.
Let us pray. Holy God, we just praise your name. We thank you for this beautiful day that you've given us. God, we thank you for all the blessings we see and the ones we don't see. And we just ask that you open up our eyes so that we can see everything that you have for us, because we don't want to miss a thing. God, we give you praise and thanks for our police officers, our EMTs, and our first responders, that they work hard to keep our cities safe. And so we ask that you go before them during this season that gets busy, that you give them wisdom and insight, and that you bring them home safely. God, we lift up this city council meeting, and we lift up the agenda that is before us, that you give each one wisdom and discernment as they go through this agenda today. We ask this in your Son's precious name, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Salute. Flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Seifert. You're welcome to stay. However, if you decide to leave, it will not be held against you, and I promise you, we'll still love you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Councilman Davis. With that, proceeding on, at this time, one of the highlights that we do for our employees, which is for us to sincerely say thank you, is to recognize their years of services in increments of 5 years. So with that, I'd like to call on our HR Director, Stephanie Chastain, and our City Manager, Mr. Wallace Hunt. Ms. Chastain?
Thank you so much, Mayor. Good morning to everyone. This is a highlight for us. This is an opportunity for us to give thanks and appreciation to our employees for the hard work and dedication that they put in each and every day serving our city and our citizens. And we do this in 5-year increments, as the mayor said. So these are the service anniversaries that we will be recognizing for the month of December. With our police department, we have Officer Kendall Smith with 5 years of service. Say a few words if you'd like to.
Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure serving the community for these past 5 years, and I look forward to 5 more. Thank you.
25 more. At least 20 more.
With our utilities department, we have our water plant superintendent, Michael Ballstadt, with 10 years of service.
I just want to thank everybody for this opportunity and everything you guys have done to get me to this point. We got 15 more years.
There you go. Thank you. You can. Thank you. Thank you so much.
These next two I'm a little partial to. I have 2 in my office that are receiving their service anniversaries this month. We have Emily Carpenter with 5 years of service. I love my job, so hopefully another 25.
There you go. Thank you.
And then also in my office, we have Miss Eliza Phillips Wyatt with 15 years of service.
I just want to say thank you so much for the opportunity, and I look forward to 15 more.
We also have one other that was not able to be here this morning. We have Corporal Dion San Nicholas with our police department, who had his 5-year employment anniversary as well.
Thank you all. Thank you, thank you, Stephanie. I do want to, before we really get into the meat of our agenda, I do want to acknowledge the seniors of Glenwood School that are here. government. Am I correct? Yes, stand.
Come stand up. Stand up.
Stand up, you all. We certainly appreciate you all being here. We hope that you all learn something, but more importantly, we want you all to teach us something. And you all by being here, because again, this is our community, and the only thing I would say, and I can speak on behalf of this entire council, we've been together all these years, so we kind of know each other, is that we appreciate you coming out, and we do know that you are all leaders, and with leadership comes integrity, character, and morals, and that's the first thing that starts with leadership, being true and real to yourself with those attributes. So thank you all so much for coming out, and again, we hope you all can see something that can help you, and more importantly, we want you all to continue to show us some great things. Thank you all so much, and let's give them a hand again.
Mayor, excuse me, just dropped off that, class to say a few words.
Come on.
Baldwin?
Ms. Baldwin, come on down. She's been at this, I'm not gonna say how many years, but she used to be with CVCC and was doing the same thing with those students. So you all are really blessed to have someone who really has a passion for this, as far as government, but more importantly, as far as those leadership attributes.
Okay,
Ms. Baldwin?
I just want to say thank you also. I have worked with y'all before where I was at CV, and this is my second term back at Glenwood, and I'm delighted to have this group of students. These are all honor students and honors class. They're all seniors, so they'll be leaving us. But anyway, it's been a pleasure to return to Glenwood and to Phenix City. I feel like I've come home. Thank you.
Thank you for your passion. She's always done this. Thank you all. Proceeding on now, council, with our agenda under the city clerk. At this time, I'd like to call a motion for the approval of the November the 20th work session, as well as November the 21st council meeting. So since we were all there, I would ask that we take it all in one motion. So with that, I'd like to ask for a motion for the approval of the November the 20th work session, as well as November the 21st council meeting. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. May I have a second? Second. We have a motion. We have a second. At this time, I'd like to call for the vote. Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy?
Yes.
Mayor Lo?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, council, are there any unfinished business that we need to discuss? Anything you thought about last night, or anything that we need to discuss? Not, we will proceed on the resolution. Also on the administration of the resolutions, is that we have an administrative hearing for a revocation of business license for Phenix Lumber Company. So at this time, we would like to call for our assistant city manager, as well as the city attorney. Step forward, please.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
As you know, I handle these types of matters for the city generally. This morning, we're here pursuant to the ordinance that calls for revocation of licenses in the event any business does not comply with the ordinances or the state statutes of the city and the state. In this particular case, there was an administrative hearing requested back in October. It was set and then tabled at that time to give the business more time to work with the city to see what could be worked out about this. This is truly a last option measure for the city. This is not something that the city wants to do, but it feels like it has to do because of the violations that are here. To sum them up real quickly, this is Phenix Lumber Company. One of the things, there was an accident out there on.
Okay. No, let me finish. Dan.
There was an accident out there on August 23rd, which caused for the fire department to come out. At that time, there were several things, and over the course of the next few days, several things that were identified as problems. The first one being the necessity of fire access roads. Second one was the separation of potable water and water use for fire protection. The third one was what appeared to be illegal tapping of the municipal water system. The fourth one was, at some point in time, a cease and desist order was agreed to, and after the cease and desist order was agreed to, there was unpermitted building and construction of plant facilities without a permit, and manipulate the water line and installing it without a permit. So these are things that we're gonna call on the relevant department heads to come up here this morning and tell you exactly what happened in the chronology of it. And what we're bound to do is if these violations are found to be true by the council, then this license needs to be revoked. Doesn't mean the license can't be reinstated once the ordinances and laws are met and complied with, once the proper plans are submitted to get all this rectified out there. But these ordinances are in place for a reason. It's for the safety of not only the public, but the people that work there. And these are things that we have to enforce if we're gonna be a city and do the things that the city needs to do to protect its citizens. So at this point in time, I'd call on Fire Chief to come up. There you go, Chris. And I just asked her to tell you about the investigation.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So in this situation, our department responded on August 23rd to an incident. While out there, some of our employees saw this particular situation that you see on the screen. This fire hydrant that is underneath the sawmill was hooked up in this manner with gray PVC pipe and valves. At that time, they took pictures of it, they called me on the phone, reported what they saw. Subsequently, at that time, I sent this up my chain so that we could investigate it further. Especially after the incident was over, I mean, there was no need to take care of that at that point. Once that situation was taken care of, I drafted a letter outlining the violations in the fire code for the hydrant to be hooked up in that manner. At the time, we did not know exactly what why the hydrant was hooked up that way. We could trace the pipe as far as we could up underneath the sawmill, but trying to get into the sawmill at that time, it was not safe. As you can see, the way those machines work, that debarks, throws wood and wood chips everywhere. You see the mound of wood chips that's present. That's also a violation, but I can get into that later. On September the 7th, I drafted a letter of the violations. On September the 8th, I hand-delivered the letter out to Dudley Lumber Company. My intent was to meet with either Ms. Dudley or Mr. Broadwater, who is her superintendent, or he is the manager of the property that we've dealt with throughout the years. He was not there, Ms. Dudley was. I took Ms. Dudley, I asked Ms. Dudley to come with me to the fire hydrant to see if it was actually still in fact hooked up this way, and it was. The hydrant was on, water was running. I went over the letter with Ms. Dudley, explaining the violations in the fire code of that situation, making sure she understood. She signed my letter. I asked her at that point to have all of that disconnected, not reconnected, and have those wood chips removed. At the time, she didn't have anyone there to help her with that. So we gave her through the weekend, and September the 11th, we went back out there, and it was disconnected, and they had begun removing the wood chips. At some point,
the city started, an investigation trying to figure out what this was for. The appearance is that it was possibly some type of suppression system, possibly some type of sprinkler system. However, we have never had any drawings, there's been no information of any sprinkler system, suppression system, any type of fire protection equipment on this site except for 2 fire hydrants. The one that you see in that planer mill and the other up underneath the sawmill. The utilities department will talk about all the stuff with, as far as the other water goes, but a letter was drafted on September the 18th, by utilities to Ms. Dudley to, conduct a study of the water location and how, the water is connected. On October the 5th, we were granted that, permission to go out there and locate those water services. At that time, Chief Bragg ended up seeing a pipe coming up out of the ground up on the top side of the property next to a building that they call a kill. When he asked Mr. Broadwater, because he was there, when he asked Mr. Broadwater, what that was for, he said it was for a sprinkler system. He asked how long it had been in there. He said for years, and the other system was air actuated, which that tells us that it was possibly a dry system. This system appears to be a wet system. He stated that it had been there for some time. Also, on October the 5th, in the office was a green sprinkler tag from Columbus Automatic, dated September the 12th, 2023. That green tag tells us that a sprinkler system has been inspected for its annual service. It is serviceable and operational. That's all before all of this. October the 10th, Mr. Broadwater contacted Chief Bragg and wanted to discuss the sprinkler systems. The one in the sawmill and the possible sprinkler systems, the one in the sawmill and the one in the kill, and what needed to be done. Chief Bragg told him to leave that alone, wait until all of this was concluded. I'm paraphrasing. Wait until all of this was concluded, and we would get back with the city would get back with Dudley Lumber to tell them what needed to be done. Mr. Broadwater's comment was he would just remove it if it wasn't needed. Well, the significant thing about that for us is we didn't know if it needed to be needed. We didn't know when or at what point sprinkler systems were installed on this property. So it takes some time to research all that information, especially since the city has never had any information, any plans submitted, nothing's been approved, reviewed, installed, inspected, acceptance tested by the city or the fire department. The only thing I'll say again that's been out there is 2 fire hydrants. October the 11th, C.L. Reagan contacted the fire department, Chief Bragg, wanting to know what needed to be done and where the water lines was concerned. None of that stuff had been discussed, right, as far as the city goes. None of that stuff had been discussed with these other contractors. Because at that time, we still didn't know what was out there and what needed to be done. October 23rd, the city had a meeting with Ms. Dudley. Present were Mr. Finley, Mr. Smallman, and Chris Rogers from Barrett Simpson. At that time, it was explained to her and her representatives. First and foremost, the water for fire protection and domestic water needed to be separated. The fire hydrants were gonna need to be relocated because As you can see in the pictures, those fire hydrants are not accessible. They're not immediately accessible to the fire department for use. Additional fire hydrants are gonna need to be, added to this site. What came to light is throughout the years, these buildings have increased in size, and they would have required additional fire hydrants at the least. We have no information of the construction that's gone on throughout the years, if you look back at the tax record. So, these fire hydrants need to be relocated. That was discussed. At that meeting, I asked Ms. Dudley if it would be permissible for me to go back out there so that I could, look at what is being considered a sprinkler system and the fire protection equipment that was on site. Her attorney at the time told her, not the same thing. And on November the 3rd, we were eventually given permission. It was not an inspection, it was solely to go out there to look at what may have been a sprinkler system. When we followed where the gray PVC pipe was from the fire hydrant up into the sawmill, we could still see remnants of the gray PVC pipe there. However, the sprinkler heads that would have been installed on that pipe, the hangers were still there, which holds the pipe and the sprinkler head up. The heads were gone. So going back to the previous phone conversation that Mr. Broadwater had with Chief Bragg, it was obvious that someone removed those heads. When we went to look at the keel property, there at one time had been a keel down in the bottom part of the sawmill. That keel was, the wood was dried by steam. Now the keel is up on the top side of the property. A new gas main had been installed to, I suppose, that's how they dry the wood at this point. All of that appeared to be new equipment and modifications done to that keel. At that time, we, as far as researching the code, trying to go back and figure out what's been done where different construction, different systems, whatever's been done on that site, we're trying to go back and do all this in reverse order at this point. It was agreed upon that at the least, that keel needed a sprinkler system, which it's actually, something's out there. Also in a previous phone conversation, I believe also on October the 13th, or October the 10th, with Mr. Broadwater, when Chief Bragg asked Mr. Broadwater about that, Mr. Broadwater said that Mr. Dudley felt that the sprinkler system was something that he needed because his cousin had a fire at his sawmill. Well, and Chief Bragg told him that in theory, yes, that is a good thing for you to have out there, but it needs to be done correctly. And again, we did not have any plans for any type of sprinkler system. On November the 13th, before Ms. Dudley arrived, I started getting emails from Mr. Smallman telling me that Ms. Dudley would be bringing sprinkler drawings, and which she did. November the 14th, we started receiving plans from Barrett Simpson, Mr. Rogers, via email from Mr. Smallman about the water mains out there. And November the 17th, let me back up. In the course of the conversations with Mr. Smallman, who was, I guess, acting on Ms. Dudley's behalf, Mr. Smallman was told that if a sprinkler system was required, additional fire protection equipment such as fire alarm equipment would be also required, and plans would need to be submitted. So on November the 17th, we received a phone call from Columbus Fire and Safety, who was asking about this, but no plans had been approved at the time, so they didn't feel like that they were gonna go forward with anything until all of that was ironed out. So, you know, basically the issues that we have out there, and some of the equipment, I'll say that from October the 5th, that was out there, that pictures were taken, that are in this file. Certain sprinkler equipment had been removed. In conversations that I had with, Mr. Hunsinger, who is the contractor that they're using, it appears in the conversations with him that his company did not install what's out there. He submitted a set of drawings for the city to review, and basically says he's not been out there. So I don't understand how you submit a set of sprinkler drawings when you've not been out there to design the drawing yourself. You have to be NICET certified in order to, through your hire, to draw fire protection sprinkler systems. Also, under that license, you install the system. If whatever is out there has been installed by anyone else that is not qualified, that system should not be accepted. And there again, it has not been accepted by us. So, in my opinion, again, we're working in reverse order. This stuff is out there, and now we've got to go back and they've got to design this system. It's got to be designed correctly. And it has to be installed correctly by people who are qualified, inspected and acceptance tested by the city before it is a legitimate sprinkler system. Again, throughout the years, due to the square footage of the buildings that are there, additional fire hydrants need to be installed. Due to the number of the buildings that are out there, they need to be installed. The apparatus access roads that are out there, they have to be maintained. This entire site has to be maintained on a regular basis to keep hog material from what you see from accumulating. And that stuff has been discussed with Dudley Lumber throughout the years. When we go and when we respond to a fire out there and that's the condition of the fire hydrants, our firefighters are put at a disadvantage. When those fire hydrants are being used for something other than what they're meant to be used for, because they are not allowed to be used for anything else other than firefighting. We have no idea if they've caused a problem with those hydrants or if they're actually even operational. Unless we go out there and we test them ourselves, which is something that we offer to do for Dudley Lumber throughout the years. But any maintenance issues are their responsibility. On the day that we went out there, the 8th, we actually went to this hydrant as well. A wrench was on top of the hydrant, I think, like you can see now. One of the 2.5 inch ports was removed. There was a wire on the ground. The ground was wet, and you could tell that the hydrant had been being used. That hydrant as well. And when Miss Dudley was asked, she said she did not know what it was being used for. So, all of this in a nutshell is, it's all about safety. It's safety for not only their employees, but it's safety for us. If we can help keep them safe, we'll be safe. I know in my 34 years, having been out there at Dudley for structure fires, you're not there for a couple hours. You may be there for several days due to the conditions. We're supposed to drive on roads that drive our fire trucks that cost hundreds and millions of dollars. We're supposed to drive those trucks on access roads that are filled with and not maintained with that sawdust. We've been out there at times when there've been saw blades in the sawdust. That type material can spontaneously combust if it's not maintained. That's why they're required to keep that material. They're regularly required to keep that material off the property. So boils down to safety. And I hate it that it's come to this, but something's got to be done in order for everything to be safe out there.
Okay. Thank you, Chris.
Right.
Ken?
Mayor, good morning.
Good morning.
We'll start off by describing the water services for,
Speak up, son.
we'll start off by describing the water services for the Phenix Lumber Company property, then discuss the investigation, and then the water volume calculation. This property has 3 water services, 2 services off Lakewood Drive. There's a 2-inch potable water line, which is for, drinking, bathroom, stuff like that. There's a 6-inch fire line, supposed to be used for just fire protection only. Then off Covert Road, there's another 6-inch fire line, for use only for fire protection. The only meters are on the 2-inch line off of, Lakewood for potable use only. And then the Covert Road fire line, it has a small detector meter that's part of the backflow preventer for that fire line. It just measures, just a tiny fraction of the water that flows through the fire line. The investigations on October 5th, code enforcement, fire department, and utility department went to the site. We met a representative of the lumber company. We then turned off all of the water services, those 3 water services, turned those off. And then the lumber company representative took us around the plant. We asked them to show us every water fixture, anything that used water on the site. They took us around the site. We were verifying that all the fixtures we saw didn't have water. And so after that was done, we saw all the fixtures they showed us, verified the water was off to all of those. We then turned the water on from the Cutway Road fire line. And at that time, the office and the planer building had water from the Cutway Road fire line. Fixtures off of those buildings included bathrooms, sinks, water fountain, hose bib, which is just where you hook up like a hose pipe. And then after we verified that, we turned on the water to the 6-inch fire line coming off of Lakewood. And then we verified that the mill building, that biggest building, and the kiln building had water at that time. And fixtures related with that also included bathrooms, sinks, hose bibs, and what looked like processed water for some of the machines, not sure what it was used for, but they had them around different parts of the machinery in the mill building. And so at that time, we determined that all the buildings that we had been shown toured had water service to them from just the two fire lines, one off cover 8, one off Lakewood. And since all those fixtures that we'd been shown had water, we didn't turn the 2-inch total water back on at that time. When Phenix City employees went back out later that day to turn the 2-inch water back on, it had already been turned back on by somebody else. So the investigation found that all the fixtures, which included bathrooms, sinks, toilets, the hose connections, water fountain, those all had water just from the 2 fire lines. And those fire lines are supposed to be used only for fire protection purposes, not for drinking water, not for toilets, not for sinks, not for processed water for machines. And so that's unauthorized usage or theft of water. So the water volume calculated, we used that detector meter that I mentioned that is on the Cutter Road fire line. As I mentioned, it measures just a fraction of what goes through the big 6-inch line. And so based on that detector meter, we had a reading on it in November 8th of 5.2 million gallons had gone through that. That since it was installed in 2020, and that was when the Opelika Road Bridge project was underway. And part of that project was installing the backflow preventer on this fire line that went to the lumber company. And actually, we actually got a call from the engineer who was working on that project, at that time when the backflow preventer was being installed, the water had to be turned off to that line to allow the installation of that. And he called and said that somebody from the lumber company had approached the contractor to tell them that, or asking them when the water would be turned back on, because they needed the water to their plants for their plant operations. And so we got a report of that also.
Here's the thing, how you doing today?
This is John Frank.
Hey, John, it's Matt Pearson saying, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. Hey, wanted to call and let you know, doesn't really affect the project so much, but the subcontractor was working on that water line, the fire service line, I guess it goes to that lumber mill. And while they were installing that vault, the guy came out and said, hey, you know, we need to get the water turned back on, I don't have water in my plant. And, this was just off that fire service line. So, it appears as if this guy getting water from that fire service line for the operations of his plant, rather than going through a meter.
So, the usage, we know the time frame of the detector meter when that water, that 5.2 million gallons went through it. So based on that time frame of the water that went through that meter, calculate monthly usage based on that. Okay, this is what would have been used in a year, and use that to determine usage that went through that line. And then that same figure we used for the volume that for the Lakewood Drive fire line. And so these volumes are only considering what went through this 5/8 inch meter, the detector meter, 5/8 inch diameter. It's attached to a 6-inch fire line. So we're only considering that water that was measured from that 5/8 inch detector meter. It's not considering water that would have gone through the whole 6-inch fire line through those years.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Whitcomb.
Mr. Rogers, building department.
morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
Just want to go through some timeline that I have, together on this, operation. On August the 23rd, the police department requested the code enforcement department respond to the scene due to an accident. The fire department was on scene upon our arrival, as well as the police department. The fire department noticed the PVC pipe tied to one of the fire hydrants. We took pictures and notified our chiefs of the situation. Our thoughts at that time, though, was it looked like that they were actually still in the water. On September the 8th, the code enforcement and fire department delivered a letter to the lumber company to advise to disconnect the PVC line from the fire hydrant. On September 11th, the fire department returned to verify that the line had been disconnected and that it was in compliance with the letter. On September the 18th, the code enforcement office delivered a letter asking the lumberyard to allow us to come do an investigation on the water services. On October the 5th, the code enforcement, fire utilities department, and Mr. Gamble met on site to conduct an investigation into the water services and the sprinklers installed. We determined that the sprinklers were installed without any plans being submitted or inspection. We also determined that the water was being used that wasn't metered by the 2-inch service line from Lakewood Drive. We also determined that there was 2 6-inch lines that were serving the property that aren't metered and that are being used for water supply for both domestic and fire lines. On October the 6th, the code enforcement fire department started investigating into when the buildings were permitted and built due to the locations of fire hydrants, the installed sprinkler systems that were found on site, in the Kill building as well as in the sawmill building, and it was determined that there was no permits on file for this type of work. On October the 10th, the code enforcement department delivered a package advising Phenix Lumber to cease and desist operations until all the violations were corrected. On October the 16th, we received a letter from Mr. Menza Dudley acknowledging the receipt of the letter and that they would comply with the cease and desist order until the violations were corrected. On October the 17th, the code enforcement and engineering department went to do an inspection on the detention ponds on site, and we were denied access at that time. On October 18th, Mr. Gamble had spoken with the Phenix Lumber and asked about letting us come on site, and we were allowed to go on site after that. On October the 19th, the code enforcement and engineering department met on site, and we were allowed to go on site, but they limited us to our investigation on the site work that we needed to look at. So while we were there at that time, though, we did notice that they were installing a new 2-inch water line. You can see this new 2-inch water line that's in this picture, this PVC patch line. That patch line is improperly installed, does not meet code, the minimum plumbing code standards. It's supposed to be buried at least 12 foot deep. It's supposed to be out of contact with concrete. That's in contact with direct concrete right there, and will deteriorate that pipe in a matter of time. It will not hold up to what it was designed for. On October the 19th, the code enforcement department issued a citation for doing work without a plumbing permit. They did not apply for a plumbing board permit, and all they had submitted plans for to do this work. And of course, like I said, as you see, seeing it as installed does not meet plumbing code requirements. If they had submitted plans, it got a permit, it got us to come out and inspect it, we could advise them on what needed to be taken care of at that time, but that was not done. On October 19th as well, due to us being denied access, we had to apply for inspection warrant or minimal search warrant. Just basically search warrant, we needed to get on site so that we could do our investigation of the whole property to see what all was going on out there. On October the 20th, the code enforcement engineering department served the inspection board warrant and conducted a site visit. Over this time, we were investigating, you know, when the buildings were built, when the fire, if we had any, plans for the building, if we had any fire plans for sprinkler systems, any things like that. It was determined that we had not received anything whatsoever when it comes to additional buildings that have been built on the site. On November the 16th, the code enforcement office provided an itemized statement of the building permits that hadn't been approved nor issued for the additional structures that are on site. As you can see in the picture, the stated structures that have been added over time. You got a planer addition, you got a boiler cover, you had two other covers there on the site that have been added over time, that no plans have been approved or submitted, and no building permits have been purchased for those structures. It's unfortunate that we're here today for this hearing. We was hoping it did not have to come to this, but that's where we're at today. We come to you today because there's major violations of city ordinances. They have several unsafe buildings, they have unsafe fire, life safety features out there that are code violations, and these issues cannot be resolved in a minimal amount of time. Per our code of ordinance section 4623, any lawful license issued to any person to conduct any business shall be subject to revocation by the municipal governing body for violation by the licensee, his agent, his servant, or employee of any provision of this article, or of any ordinance of the municipality, or any statute of the state related to the business for which the license is issued. This also applies to the refusal to renewal of business license. Our business license renewal comes up December 31st. After December 31st, the license will have to be renewed. Due to the upcoming license renewal as well, we felt like this was our best course of option, is to come and ask for the license to be revoked and the refusal to renew as well. And that's why we're here today, is to request that the license be revoked and that the refusal of the business license be done until Phenix Lumber complies with all the rules and regulations and statutes of the city of Phenix City. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Okay.
That's all we have to present to the council. I know Mr. Phenix here on behalf of Phenix Lumber Company. I turn it over to you.
Come on.
Thank you, Jim, and members of the council. I am here on behalf of Phenix Lumber, and I'm here in good faith to try to work things out with regard to the city. We have worked tirelessly to try to remediate where we're asked to, but we also believe that here in the spirit of good faith and the things that have been guided by this city and this council and this community, which my family has lived in for over 170 years, I've never seen such leadership as I have by this council led by Mayor Lowe. And I ask that before we present our presentation, and we have our side of it, because as they say, no matter how thin you slice a pancake, it's always got two sides, and we have our position as well. And as an attorney, I have a client, and I have a presentation that I am completely prepared to present to you today. But I caution you, and I ask you to please work with me. Please work with us. Please allow this hearing to be discontinued and suspended so that we may work together on the issues that we are dealing with. We are essentially dealing with a water bill, which is in dispute. We're dealing with meters and bulbs, and we're dealing with some equipment with plans that have been drawn up by engineers, of which we just received yesterday. We got a cease and desist letter on October the 10th of this year to tell us to completely shut down our business, and we believe there's a deprivation issue related to that, which I can go into, but I would prefer not to, because I am pro Phenix City and I am pro Phenix Lumber. About a third of my law practice now is working as a mediator. And as a mediator, I try to solve people's problems. 170 years ago, Abraham Lincoln said, discourage any kind of disputes. Encourage your neighbors to resolve their problems. Work together in harmony. Many times, a nominal winner is a loser with all the time and expense and resources and effort they put into that. The spirit of this community, led by Mayor Lowe, is one of working together. And this community needs to be pro-business. This business has been alive and working for over 60 years. I'm not even 60 years old. I might look it today, but I'm not. They've been paying taxes. I've got 25 people here in this community who are back here in the back, who are here to support and who have jobs that are relying on Phenix Lumber. We have Christmas coming up in 3 weeks, and I find it interesting that the Glenwood folks are here because I went to Glenwood. And part of my educational background and ability to stand up in front of you all was due to the fact that I took government and history in classes with people like Dodie Tucker, Ed Glenwood, and Mickey Tucker's my mother's cousin. I've been in this community my entire life and I've seen it. And I ask you all to please allow us to work with you. And I would suggest a meeting with Mayor Lowe, Mr. Hunter as our city manager, some engineers, Chan and Jim or whoever needs to be there, engineers from both sides, to talk about what needs to happen. I am not equipped to explain all of the engineering mechanisms that go on, but there are some really smart people who can, and they know what they're doing. But to shut down a business without a meaningful opportunity to be heard, a meaningful opportunity with notice and fairness with respect to that is something that I don't think we should engage in. So therefore, I would respectfully request that this council allow us to meet within a week or so and talk about a path forward, because the issues truly are water bill, meters and bulbs, and issues of positioning of equipment, okay? And so if with that said, I again ask this council to consider that, and if not, then I can present, our side of this situation.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Attorney, I did not get your first name.
I'm sorry, it's Ben Phenix, sorry, Mr. Carter.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else?
Sure, I noticed you said give your adequate time to look at this particular issue. I think the city have done that, haven't they?
Sir?
We of the city have done that already, haven't we?
The city has done an investigation, that's correct. Yes, sir, but we take issue with the city, with procedurally and the mechanism and sort of the way that we ended up being here today.
So you all didn't, in your perspective, you didn't have enough time to meet the compliance because the information we received again was still not in compliance based on when this first arose back in October 10th. So anything you put in compliance and other things, the tape that I heard and also the picture that I saw with the different lines that are being connected, who connected those lines?
We don't know. We don't know how that was done, and we were surprised as when Chief Kennedy got out there. We just don't know. Nobody knows. And the entire issue here, Mayor, is related to shutting down this business in the way that it was done. And there's no question that there were, when they went out there and looked at it, if you look back at this, Phenix Lumber got a clean bill of health in 2020, 2022. They come out there 2023, the fire chief does, I think it was March and September. On September 7th, they came out and they met with Phenix Lumber and said, you guys need to correct a few things, and that's correct what Fire Chief Kennedy said. On September 11th, Mr. Bragg went out there, assistant fire chief, and talked to Doug Broadwater and said everything was okay and in compliance. That was on September the 7th. As we move forward, they come out there on October 5th, and then we get a letter on October 10th that says to completely cease and desist based on 7 factors. All right, there are 7 factors with regard to the reason for the revocation, and that's the key. The reason for the revocation, and the only thing before this council is the revocation issue, all right? Only the revocation issue. The October 10 letter, that's why we're here, it's the October 10 letter. So let's all focus on October 10, 11, not on the other issues, not the tangential issues, not the whack-a-mole game of a plan. The October 10 letter, which specifically says, these are the issues, including the water bill, okay? The water bill, as I first was told about it, was that we owed $4 million in water, okay? $4 million. The letter says on October 10, and I encourage everybody to read the October 10 letter, which I'll produce if we need to.
I think we have.
Yeah.
We have.
You have it, okay.
Yeah.
What is it, let me ask this, is it okay, can we table this, or would you like to sort of hear what my side or our side of this?
Well, first of all, let me answer your question.
Yeah.
We cannot table.
Okay.
Okay. You know, we've done that, earlier to give an opportunity to be in compliance.
Right.
And the issue is, as we've heard, is safetyness. And I'm just gonna be honest and frank, when it comes to safetyness, that has to be the number one thing, I would think of any council. And I've heard and seen some disturbing things, and so, for that reason, we can't take it.
Yes, sir, I understand, and look, with all due respect, I completely understand that, because nobody is more interested in safety than Phoenix Law. We don't wanna have an unsafe business, but let's talk about then sort of what we got and where we are. We got a letter on October the 10th, right? And it says for us to cease and desist. That is a deprivation of our constitutional rights. It is a violation of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. The United States Constitution, which applies to every municipality, including Phoenix City. And I don't want to get into this, but I'm gonna have to, and this is sort of where we are. The October 10th letter violates the U.S. Constitution because it immediately shut our business down, and it does not provide, as the U.S. Constitution requires, that we have an opportunity to be heard and proper notice. We did not get an opportunity to be heard and proper notice. If you cannot go to a business, and the letter says you have to immediately cease and desist, that's what the letter says, to put us out of business, okay? You have to give individuals a right to be heard, and a meaningful right to be heard, and an opportunity. We just got up and all said the Pledge of Allegiance together, and we all said, for liberty and justice for all. That letter was completely unjust. It would be like when Mr. Gordy's medical practice, my law practice, Mr. Bailey's auto business, and shutting us down right there and trying to take our business license, my law license from them. Mr. Gordy's medical license from him, Mr. Bailey's license from him that day, and to say that the fellas, y'all are out of business, all right? The 14th Amendment says you cannot do that. Our government, I don't care if you're black, white, rich, poor, business individual, you have every right and the same rights as every other American citizen, including the corporate citizen, and we are that. And our constitutional rights were deprived by the city management when that letter was sent. And it's unfortunate, and it's sad, because it's anti-business, and it puts a business out of business that's been around for 60 years, that's paid taxes and has had all of these folks here whose jobs are riding on it, that may be out of business with Christmas coming up in 3 weeks, and it is not pro-business, and it is not what this city is about. It is not what this leadership is about, and it is unfortunate that we are where we are. But the Constitution says it cannot be arbitrary, and it cannot be capricious. It cannot be unpredictable. You've got to give everybody a fair shake in this world, and you've got to give everybody a right to be heard, and we're here today to talk about that. We're also here to talk about this. It is violative of Phoenix City's own ordinance that this council has passed, including section 46230C, which I invite everybody to look at. That ordinance that this council passed says the municipal governing bodies will set a time for a hearing on the matter of revoking or refusing to renew a license, and a notice of such hearing shall be given to the licensee or the applicant for renewal, as the case may be, at least 10 days before the day set for said hearing. At the hearing, municipal governing bodies shall hear all evidence offered by any party, and all evidence that may be presented bearing upon the question of revocation of the refusal of renewal, as the case may be. Shutting this business down without an opportunity to be heard before giving us the death penalty, putting us out of business, was violative of this council's ordinance and the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. And if I represented anybody on the panel, any of you council members or anybody in this audience, I'd say the same thing. You can't shut us down without a right to be heard in an arbitrary, capricious, and unfair way. And I want to dive a little deeper into the basis for that letter, which I encourage everybody to look at, which is their October 10 letter. All right? The October 10 letter says, we're shutting you down because you're stealing water. All right? Let's talk about the water theft. They said we stole $4 million worth of water. Well, bull. They can't prove it because nobody stole any water. You know what we got last Friday? We got a bill from them. Remember this too now, the October 10 letter, and I encourage you to read this very closely. The October 10 letter says, we're gonna send y'all a bill no later than October 17th. No later than October 17th. We guarantee you we'll get you the bill no later than October 17th. When do we get the bill? Friday. This past Friday. All right, we talk about delay, talk about dragging the heels, talk about moving the target, talk about a game of whack-a-mole. All right? 7 weeks after they say we owe them $4 million, we get a $165,000 bill. Let's dive deeper into the bill that we got. The bill for the water that they send involves a cheater meter, that they call it, all right? And they say that we've got to go back and pay 6 years of water bill, and they calculated it at $160,000. But let me tell you this, their letter that they sent about the bill that he put up on the screen, they forgot to tell you all and to give you more color. In my business, they call it the rule of completeness, that the lawyers, Mr. McCoon, and others who are good lawyers know about. And that's the rule of completeness, with the witnesses got up there, which is you gotta see the whole record, all right? The whole record includes this. The letter says the $165,000 bill is an estimate. It's an estimate. It's a guess. It's not precise. If any of us got a water bill from anybody that said, you owe me this, do I not have a chance to respond? Do I just get put out of business because I got a water bill? Did you tell me it's the number 7 weeks after you told me it's $4 million? It's an estimate. Let's dive deeper into the water bill, all right? They say we gotta go back 6 years by the method of calculating the number with a monthly number that they extrapolate, they say in the letter, back to 6 years. I invite you to look at the letter. The cheater meter they started, they didn't implement until 2020, which was 3 years ago. Well, how in the world can you go back 6 years when the cheater meter ain't been around for 3 years? You're just making stuff up. All right? That's arbitrary. That's capricious. That's a violation of the 14th Amendment. And I say the same thing. I was representing any of you on the council or anybody here. And I represent Phenix Lumber, and I'm proud to represent them because they've been a corporate citizen of this community and maybe, I think, by the second or third oldest running business in our entire community. They have hired thousands of people. They've hired folks that other folks won't hire. And if you take this license and don't let us get back into business, these folks don't have jobs, and they ain't gonna pay their rent, and they're not gonna pay their car payment, and the children are gonna be having a tough Christmas. And that's terrible. It's shameful, in my opinion. Absolutely awful. Because if somebody wrote a daggone letter and violated the damn constitutional rights of our client. Further, when we talk about plans and the engineers, by the admissions of the folks that got up here, and I was taking notes listening to this stuff for the 3 people that talk, all right? Just a couple things. Number one, they say that, you know, we stole this and we stole that. I invite you all to look at the fact that the issues related to the letter with regard to the theft include the maintenance issues and where the fire chief is concerned. Nowhere in the letter, no time today, did anybody ever say that anyone was an imminent threat or harm or danger, which is the legal standard, where the police power and the fire department, if there are noxious fumes, if there's radioactive waste, if we've got to shut down a business for whatever reason because it's Armageddon, you can do that. But you can't just take somebody's business license, their law license, their medical license, their auto license, their business, and shut it down in an arbitrary and capricious manner with a cease and desist letter and say you're immediately out of business. It's unconstitutional. It's flat wrong. I have talked to, I'll just tell you, I've been practicing law for 32 years and never seen anything like it. I've talked to 2 law professors, I've talked to 5 or 6 lawyers that represent municipalities, and I've said, and I haven't even said the city, I haven't even disclosed it. I just said, what do you think about this? Municipality sends a letter, they're like, oh man, that's 14th Amendment. You can't do that. You can't do that. That's textbook, that's black letter, man. I mean, I'm telling you, we are on extraordinarily strong footing in this way. That's why I am trying mightily to work this out as best I can, because this is not good for anybody. What's good for the city is, got a corporate citizen paying taxes for 60 years. Let's be pro-business. Let's make sure that these folks have a job. Let's work together in harmony. Let's make it pro-business. If the word gets out, I don't think business wants to come to Russell County. Why would you go to William Muskogee? All right? If this is the kind of game we're going to play, if we're going to play it like this, I don't know I want to go there, right? We got transformational things happening because of Mayor Lowe. Mayor Lowe has brought this community up with race and everything else, with religion, ethnicity. He sees the heart. And he and I talk about this. We talk about things and get prayed together, talk about things, and this is how I feel as a person. I look at it like David in the Bible, all right? He was rejected by his father, rejected by Goliath, rejected by King Saul, rejected by everybody. When the prophet Samuel came to Jesse's house and picked the big strapping brothers and said, well, he's the next king of Israel. And he said, no, the prophet Samuel said, no, that's it. It's the little skinny guy out in the shepherd's field. Why? Because he had heart. He had a heart, and all God sees is what's on the inside. And that's what I know Mayor Lowe and his council is guided by. Okay? But we're a corporate citizen. And I don't see black, white, business, individual, person. I just see the heart. And I know a man that I knew who for 60 years started with $7,000 in one employee at 25 years old and started a dadgum business. And he's a Russell County, Phenix City guy. And sacrificed his entire adult life to build businesses which have benefited this community. A bank, McClendon Trail, real estate development. And he's helped a lot of folks in this dadgum room. And I'm here largely because of him, and I love him. And I am not ashamed to say it. All right? So that's one of the reasons that I'm here. And I beg you, I plead with you, and I ask you to please allow us to work this out and to figure out how much the water bill should be, to figure out what we need to do with regard to moving a dadgum fire hydrant, because we were told to move it, then we were told not to move it, and we were told later to get these plans, and we submitted them, and we got the plans back from the city yesterday at 3:45 p.m., and I'll show you the email where I got it. But I ask you all, be guided by what we started this meeting with today, which was the Pledge of Allegiance, which ends at the end with justice for all. And I respectfully request justice from this council, that our business license be reinstated during the pendency of this while we're trying to get this work done together, that we meet within a week to talk about these issues and work together with a public-private partnership, because if you go across the river, that's all they talk about, is public-private partnership. They got the Turners and the Bradleys. Well, over here we got Dudleys and we got some other folks. We got some guys, the Bowdens and whatever, that have a significant business interest in this community and can do some significant things together if we work together in partnership. And with that being said, if the council has any questions, I'm happy to field them at this time. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so Nick reminds me that with what I've said, I'm hopeful that we can do the things that I suggested. If not, I'm going to be compelled to have to put on a bunch of evidence just like they did, and we may be here for a while.
Well, now, let me say this now. This is a administrative hearing.
Right.
Okay, that may have to come at another time, but this is strictly an administrative hearing, so.
Well, but with all due respect, they were able to put on stuff, and if we could just submit some things into the record, we make it not waste a lot of time, but we can make it very efficient. If I could maybe just put some stuff in the record. And y'all got the letter, I guess. You have my letter that I've sent as well, with all these exhibits? Okay. All right. All right, can we just
Let me ask one thing.
Yes, sir.
We tabled this back in October to keep this from happening exactly where we are today. We were all under the impression, I'm sure, a couple of meetings ago, that this was all being worked out. So what went from y'all not wanting to comply with the letter that you were sent, whatever letters you were sent at that time, I'm not talking about a particular letter, I'm talking about any previous letter up to the date that we actually tabled it, back the 1st of October, we were under the understanding, all of us were, you know, you were gonna work on the issue. There would be some disputes, always is when there's two different sides to anything like you said. But it's disputes that have to be worked out.
Yes.
They're not gonna be an option for them not to work out, that's not gonna be an option ever.
Yes, sir.
It's gonna come to a head at some point in time. But how come all of a sudden it went from not being worked on? But we didn't have to work on anything, we had laid everything out for y'all. Y'all were the ones that had to step up to the plate at that time. We had pitched you the ball, it was up to you to hit the ball. The ball didn't get hit. So now today we're back to here again. So what happened between that time and this time that made y'all wanna, and the only way I can look at it is change your mind, because like I said, 2 meetings ago, when we knew this was gonna come up today, it shocked me and 1 or 2 others on the council that we were back to this. Cause we thought it was being worked out, cause we're not in on the day-to-day running of the city, but we are city council members and the mayor, and city manager. So it does eventually come before us, but we're not in on the everyday thing. But we have to totally 100% trust everybody at this city that is employed at this city and stand behind them 100%. We trust you also, because I do know you. But I still wanna know what happened between
Yes, sir,
that
that
time
is,
and this
that,
time.
that is an extremely fair question of you, Mr. Bailey, extremely fair question, Steve. I'll tell you what happened, we did hit the ball, on our side. We submitted plans as was acknowledged at the presentation on November the 13th, when we were asked to put the plans together. We were also told on October the 10th, 7 weeks ago, we were gonna get a water bill, which was gonna tell us what we owed. The city just got it to us last Friday, and all of a sudden it's $160,000, which is an estimate. If I represented you and somebody said, Steve, you owe $160,000 on your water bill down there at your auto business, but I don't really give you a basis for why you owe it. First I tell you it's $4 million. And then you hire me, and then we get the bill for 160, it says it's an estimate, we're gonna go back 6 years, but the cheaper meter only goes back 3, you would take issue with that, and you'd say, Ben, you need to find out what's going on. And all due respect, we just got this, Steve, on Friday. The ball was put on the tee, y'all did a favor to all of us on both sides, the city and Phenix Lumber, to work it out, and you're absolutely right. You are at a disadvantage, all of y'all are at a disadvantage, because you don't see what's going on every day. I've asked for a meeting, I don't know, maybe 25 times, between verbal, asking, letters, and all that stuff, to work the thing out, and y'all did in the spirit of trying to work it out, and you did everything correctly. I'm not suggesting anything otherwise. I think largely this is just an issue of communication and us kind of getting together and figuring out with the engineers who are very smart about exactly what we need to do. That's all this is. That's why I was saying, please don't make me get up here and talk. Don't make me talk about all this junk. But if you're gonna take my client's business license away, or somebody's law license away, I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna tell you what I think about that, which I think that is completely unfair. But you raise a great question. In fact, you raise the best question, which is my question, which is why are we here? Why are we here? Why aren't we in the room, or why aren't there engineers on both sides sitting together and go, no, put the fire hydrant over there, and then do this with us? I don't even know all this stuff. I'm not educated in that way, but there are people who are. So you're spot on about all of it.
Okay.
All right. Attorney Finley, the October the 10th letter, page 2, first paragraph, it states, Phenix Lumber failed to obtain any building permits or paid any fees associated with the construction or renovation of any portion of the mill property since 1999. Is that a true statement?
Say again, I don't have the letter. I can get that in front of me. Let me look at that. I don't know what she was.
Page 2.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Of the letter that was sent out.
You said my October 10th letter.
Just read it from the letter that we have, which is the same one you all have.
Where are you, ma'am?
Okay, first paragraph, page 2, October 10th letter.
Okay,
Let me read it again,
Yes, ma'am.
and I quote. Say Phenix Lumber failed to obtain any building permits or pay any fees associated with the construction or renovation of any portion of the mill property since 1999. I believe that's 24 years. Is that a true statement?
I may be looking at a different page. It's page 2 of the October 10 letter you're referring to? What date is on that letter?
I'm sorry, my mistake. It's dated November the 21st.
Okay.
And stating that they were in receipt,
Yes,
we
ma'am.
were in receipt of November the 10th letter. My apologies.
No, it's fine, but let me just remind the council, the revocation, and this is what it's all about, is October 10th. Because all this whack-a-mole game that they've been playing, these November letters, these other things, building this, that's not the basis of the revocation. The only thing that's the basis of this revocation is their October 10 letter. That is all that's before this council. Now, all that other stuff, and this hearing was set up, but this discussion was set up based on revocation only. That's October 10th. Anything outside of that is out of bounds. I mean, now granted, we'll have to deal with it, we'll have to work on it, we'll have to work, but if you're talking revocation, and you expect, we're gonna keep it within, we have to keep within the guardrails, right?
Yeah.
You know? Because both sides are going back with new stuff, you know, so anyway, if it's in October 10, I think it's on the board. If it's not, you know, that's maybe for another day or something, you know? But I do think that, and again, I'm trying to play by the rules with all this stuff. If the council would indulge me to make a motion, this is my opinion, to be agreed to, where we could either table this or meet, but if we can't.
We know each other now, we can't table it.
Okay.
I'm not going to.
Yes, sir.
We're not going to.
All right, so, no, I understand, sir.
Okay.
We then respectfully request that we be allowed to put on, evidence that you'll indulge us. You won't, you don't, but if you will, you know, we would.
You gotta be mindful, it's a, administrative hearing.
Mayor Lowe, respectfully, the city's own ordinance does say that Phenix lumber, I just wanna have this for the record, because we have a court reporter over there. It says, at the hearing, the municipal governing body shall hear all evidence offered by any party, and all evidence that may be presented bearing upon the question of revocation or the refusal of renewal, as the case may be. So.
Okay, we'll go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, as quickly as possible.
Yes, sir, we'll try to as efficiently as we can.
Again, the reason why, and that's what I was just telling, Councilman Gordon, is that it shows that we are, doing what our ordinance says, and that's what we've always talked about, consistency. So based on what we're saying, that's the reason why, because we have to be consistent, which we have.
Give everybody a copy of the letter, of our letter. Yeah. Here's that one. Let's get 8 of them. Okay, I just wanna,
You know, put into the record and just make sure you all, and you may have, and I apologize to y'all if I'm redundant or something, okay, I'm just trying to do my job, as y'all know. Can I approach y'all? Is that
Sure.
okay?
Sure.
Okay, I just wanna give each of you that one.
Initially, is it possible if I hook this computer up to the television screen? I have an HDMI cord if needed. Okay. If not, I'm happy with also just showing council the pictures on this computer, and I can email them to you so they can be submitted to the council record. If that's fine with you.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
wanted y'all to hear from Mr. Broadwater, and, this is kind of an informal thing, so I'm just gonna.
He can do what they did, he can just tell them what he wants to tell them.
Yeah, that's fine, and then I can ask you questions, I'm trying to make it official.
How do you want to do it?
Yeah, yes, thanks.
So if you want to do it that way, that's fine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, if you could just lean a little bit so everybody can hear you, just, I know it says that you run a lumber yard, you're not used to talking and things like this, but how long have you worked at Phenix Lumber?
25 years.
And you've worked with the city for 25 years?
Off and on, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when they come out, when they come out, what do
Have you, when the city came out on, or by September 7, we heard that there were complaints about issues related to fire hydrants, and there was a subsequent meeting on September 11 where they talked to you. What happened on September 11, 2023 when they talked to you?
September 11th, that's when we got disconnected the fire. 11th.
Yeah, and they had told you everything was in compliance at that
Right.
time?
Right.
And had y'all been in compliance in 2020?
Yes, sir.
Were you in compliance in 2022?
Yes.
Were you in compliance, up until the October 10, 2023 letter that Phenix Lumber received?
Yes, sir.
Did the October 10, 2023 letter immediately instruct Phenix Lumber to cease and desist its commercial operations?
October 10?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And did y'all cease and desist your commercial,
We
cease and desist your commercial operations?
We did.
And you weren't out there selling product and weren't out there, you did what they told you to do, did you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And were you aware of the fact that engineers have been out there to work on plans together?
Recently?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And do those engineers include Chris Rogers at Barrett Simpson?
Yes.
And does that also include Brandon Hunzinger at Columbus Sprinkler Fire?
Yes, sir.
And are you also, I guess, in agreement with the fact that those plans that Phenix Lumber paid for were submitted to the City of Phoenix City in November?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I guess you're aware that we just received yesterday the response from the city, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And has anybody at Phenix Lumber ever stolen water to your knowledge?
No, I know of.
Johnny Dudley, you knew him for his whole adult life. Did he ever, in your knowledge, steal water?
No, I know of.
Leslie Dudley, to your knowledge, ever steal
No,
water?
sir.
You got a water bill, we received on Friday to Phenix Lumber for about $165,000. You familiar with that? All right. Do you understand all how they calculated it? Does it make any sense to you?
No, sir, I don't.
Okay. All right. I don't have anything further from Mr. Broadwater. Thank you.
Nick, what are you going to show? What were you planning on showing us so we can?
What I'll do.
Because this is the administrative hearing,
Right.
but go ahead, we just
Yes,
want to do.
I'm sorry,
Huh?
no, I'm used to being in court. I'm
Yeah, this
sorry.
is not a court, but I understand, but
Yes.
this is administrative hearing, so based on the ordinance that you read, we just want to give you that same due
Yes, sir.
process of what we've done.
What I will do is I will attend.
So we don't need
to
to,
make it
but let me
easier.
say this, we don't need to ask any other person any questions. But we just wants to give you all the right, based on what the ordinance said, to show our consistency, is to be able to give you all that opportunity.
Yes.
Okay, so we don't need to,
Well,
it's not a court.
Respectfully, Mayor, it does say any and all evidence, and that's what the ordinance says. And so, if the city wants us to just continue our presentation, that's fine. But that is what the ordinance says. So, if you don't want us to proceed.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I just as a representative employee, Ace has been working at Phoenix Lumber, and if you could step up, sir, what's your full name?
Linear Crawford,
How long have you worked at Phoenix Lumber?
ever since 2005.
Do you know, Mr. Crawford, or have you ever stolen water as an employee of Phoenix Lumber?
No, sir.
Are you aware of anybody at Phoenix Lumber ever stealing water?
No, sir.
Will you just just tell the council what you told me about what Phoenix Lumber means to you in this community?
Well, it really means a lot to us because, we've been there for a while, and if you take Phoenix Lumber coming from us, then some of us might be homeless, we might not have money to do what we gotta do, and then when we on the streets, we have a problem because we can't afford to take care of home. So I'm just asking that you can keep things level going, because on both sides, whatever the issue might be, as I always say, the Lord say that it can be fixed. So what we need to try to do is to try to fix it, because all of us here, we need a job to work and pay our bills and, you know, do the right thing, because that's what we was told to do when we got hired there. Be nice, treat people nice, work hard, and make a living for yourself. And we've been there so long, but if you take that from us, then, like, I've been trying to find a job for like 3 or 4 weeks, but no place hiring right now, I guess because of my age, I'm 66. So I would like to stay there till longer and do what I have to do to make a living for me and my family, you know? So we just saying, whatever's wrong, it could be fixed on both sides. We just need to talk about it, whatever it might be, and just try to fix it so we can all stay working and live our life.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, but I just, it's obviously more to this than just, there's more to this, and it affects people's lives, right?
All right.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
hate to interrupt, but we want to.
I know. We appreciate you all.
We appreciate you.
Thank you all, and I was concerned about that, because I know. Thank you. That they would like to, but you can't.
Keep up the good work, students.
Thank y'all. Good luck, y'all.
Can I go with y'all?
Good luck.
Take care.
Thank you again so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I just also, like, Norman, will you please state your full name?
Stanley Norman.
And then would you please say how you feel about this, or your view of this, or whatever you have to add?
While working at Phenix Lumber has allowed me to be able to work and live in peace with safety involved as well. Of course, been able to pay my responsibilities as far as my household and all, of course, with everything, and make it to another day, you know, calmly and in peace. And us not being able to work is going to cause a lot more strife than we already have. It's already confusing, it's already painful enough sometimes today. It's making it a lot harder. It's making it more rough. And it's hard to deal with these days, because it's already a lot more weight on top of this activity. I understand. So myself and my family here, as well as many others, allowing us to work helps a lot more. You know, we need our job. And we're trying to do what's needed to be done for us to keep our job. Everyone is putting in as much work as we need to, as much as we can ask of us, so we can keep that going. Everyone is putting in work, and putting in a hand to help. And we'd like to help, if you would allow us to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to be efficient with, in respect to everybody's time. We've got some photographs that contradict the photos that were put up because of positioning of the pictures, but if we could just put those in the record, you know, for you all's consideration, so you can see. I know y'all's time is valuable, but I also want to get everything in. So if you will agree that all the exhibits attached to my letter that y'all have in front of me, we'll put that in the record, we'll put the photos in the record, and then, yeah, and then just the other letters. I mean, we've been, believe me,
Yeah,
trying.
I think we have all those letters.
You have all the letters.
Yeah.
Can we just agree that that's all in the record then? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And then, Mayor Love, I will submit to Ms. Lee, the pictures that we were gonna put on the screen for.
Okay.
We'll provide those to you all.
Okay.
And then, and again, we appreciate y'all's time and appreciate the opportunity to be heard and respectfully request that our business license be reinstated so we can employ folks, sell the lumber we got, but also work quickly to resolve whatever the issues are, including paying whatever the water bill is that we owe. But we need to understand it and we need to, and so I think, you know, Councilman Bailey, I think you hit the nail on the head about, you know, what happened. We're doing everything we feel like, and we'll do anything. I'll meet with anybody this afternoon, tomorrow, this weekend, tonight. You can come to my house at this evening, everybody on the council's invited if you want. I'll do whatever we have to do.
Just say one more thing.
Yes, sir.
We're not here to put Phenix Lumber out of business. Nobody on this council or at this city is trying to put you out of business. We're trying to get you to comply with city laws, rules, and regulations that everybody in this city has to live by, including me across the street. There's laws, rules, and regulations I have to go by. Every business in this city is this way. All I want you to do is just, we need to get to the table to get this worked out where you can go back to business, you can go back to making money, you can go back to affording your family and taking care of your everything that you need to. We all want that. That's the American way. That's why we live in this country. We live in the greatest country in the world. We live in a country where we can disagree, and both have the right to disagree, and the government gives us that right. And there's people fighting for that right to keep that right for us today.
You're spot
So
on.
now we should be able to discuss things and do things that way. But please don't think that I, for one, or anybody else in this council, wants you out of business. We don't. We don't. The Dudleys have been real good to this community. They're a well-known family. They're loved by this community and will continue to be loved. It's not just Mr. John. Mr. John was well loved, but his father was loved. His father was in government. It has passed down from generation to generation, and it will go more generations after us, because there's good people in our city. But we have got to get this worked out. It's not gonna get worked out today. That's not gonna happen. We can't table it. But I want everybody, as quickly as this can do, to come to a head and get it done. And whatever the numbers come out to be on the water thing, it'll be fair for both sides, or it'll never get agreed upon, and I want it agreed upon. I don't know what the water bill would be. I don't think any one of us on this table up here in this council knows what it is. There's no way. But I can promise you this, it will be figured in your favor if this has been going on for years and years and years, and there's no way to know how long it's been going on. There is no way to know. And it's an inherited problem. I know that it is. It's not a problem that anybody sitting over there or in here or over here has made happen. It has just come to everybody's notice, and now that it's in front of everybody, it has to be dealt with openly, equally, transparently, and uniformly like we always have. And I won't be part of a group that doesn't do that. And I just want to tell everybody that for that reason. I want to be fair, and I expect to be fair. And I know that y'all trying to be fair on y'all side too. I'm not saying you do anything wrong. You're representing your clients and the people perfectly well. That's your responsibility. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to fight for them for everything they can do. But we have to look up for the city and those employees sitting right over here and have to do the same thing for them.
No
We
doubt.
have to.
Yes,
And if
sir.
we don't, we're not doing our job, what we were elected to, represent the city and represent all the people in this city.
Yes, sir.
And I, for one, will always do that for everybody in this city.
The only thing,
All right.
council, can I say one thing, please, Mayor?
Yes, and
It
we need
is
to move
this.
on. Okay.
I agree with everything you said, but I will say this. You said that we're not gonna be un-American. That's what you said, and I 100% agree with every bit of whatever I've got here in front of y'all. But the disconnect here, the disconnect is just one thing only. And that's when, in an un-American way, and the reason we left England, in an un-American way, the cease and desist letter of October 10th buried our business, and that's un-American, without an opportunity to be heard in a meaningful way, and without notice in a meaningful way. That's the whole issue. That's why you've got to, we contend, and highly suggest, reinstate our business license during the pendency of this, because we're damaged. We are out money. We are out profit. We have created this issue due to that un-American act. When you stripped us of, as the Constitution says in the 14th Amendment, it's also known in law school as the Equal Protection Clause, because the Founding Fathers understood and realized under the law, everybody's equal. And you can't take my life. You can't take my liberty. You can't take my property and my business as the government, and that's what the government did here. That's what, not you guys, but the letter activated that, and that's the disconnect. 100% agree with everything, we all are in agreement, we have a shared view, shared brain, shared heart on all of it. I just think there was a little bit of a trip up on that, but it's caused a ripple effect where we don't have a business. And you guys are business owners, I mean, y'all know exactly the kind of ramifications of that, right? So, that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Sir.
As it pertains to the actions we're called upon to do today, Mr. McCoon, is there anything legally that we need to be concerned about moving forward with our decision today?
I do not believe so. And I'd like to say something about that. You look at this, you talk about the disagreement on the water bill real quickly. You know, if I have a fire hydrant outside my house, and I wired PVC pipe into it and started using that for my water in my house, I'd be taking the water I was not entitled to have. This has been going on for years. The other problem with this is this, as far as the cease and desist thing and the timing of that. The cease and desist was issued on, I think, October the 10th. On the 11th, the hearing was requested, one was set right away. And then that hearing was asked to be tabled, which this council did. The problem you have with something like this is when you have a fire, a bad fire, which is what happens at lumber mills. These people with the fire department have to go out there. I don't need her really. These people have to, oh, that'd be fine. They have to go out there and put their lives on the line to fight this fire. And if this thing's hooked up like this, they don't have anything to hook up to. It creates a real problem for them. And I know personally about it, because several years ago, there was a lawsuit over a fire that was out there, the city was involved in that lawsuit, wrongfully. We won the case, but there were people out there whose lives were in danger. They actually had to stand off and fight the fire because they couldn't get the stuff they needed to connect on to. This is a dangerous situation. Besides the water being rerouted, it's a dangerous situation. So you don't allow that to continue. You send somebody and say you can't operate under these circumstances until this is fixed. And so that's what's happened here. So that's all I want to say about that.
Yes.
Sir? Yeah. Yeah, I'd be glad to. You can't see too. The ordinance says what it says. It talks about it should be unlawful for any person to connect a tube, pipe, hose, wire, any instrument, contrivance, or pipe fitting, tube or wire used for the conducting of supply of water, natural gas, fuel, or electricity in such manner as to supply water, natural gas, fuel gas, or electricity to any burner, orifice, lamp. Goes on basically to say, without going through the whole thing, is it's illegal to do this. And the reason it's illegal to do it is because it creates a dangerous situation. And that's what you have here. When you look, like I said, I've seen the video of fires where the heat is so bad, they can't get close to the fire. The reason these hydrants are out there is for fire protection. It's for protection of the public and people that have to go fight the fire to try to preserve property for our citizens. So I hate that we're here today. I consider Mr. Finley a esteemed colleague. I know the Dudleys. I knew Johnny Dudley used to come to my daddy's grocery store when I was 15 years old. That's how I met him. So I hate this situation. I hadn't had much to say about it for that reason. But I can tell you right now, this council, what do we do? We can look the other way about all the ordinances and things and just say we can't enforce them because it's a hard situation. We didn't create a hard situation. So that's all I got to say about that.
If you find something illegal, you're obligated to stop it right there and let it go
you need to stop it right then if it involves public safety.
If it involves public safety, that's what you're talking about.
That's what the key is.
That's not a matter of, we can put this on hold until.
Which we did.
Later on, because the city becomes more liable at that particular time. Okay, when you're saying you don't know who hooked these things up, these appliances up in the lumber yard, that's your private property. You're responsible for what goes on your private property. You're responsible to know that when you're receiving a water bill, that if you're hooked into something else, or a phone call comes from one of your representatives at your company that says, we're using this water from this fire hydrant. Now, whoever made that phone call knew exactly what they were doing. They knew proper meter or meter was not on there to monitor that. And then when you hear the term cheap meter, okay, if you're not cheap, there's nothing to catch. It's a problem with that because we are responsible for people's lives that are out there. And I think you're talking about, I understand exactly where it's coming from. I want to make a living and working. But I believe your life is more valuable to your family if something was to go on than anything else.
Well,
So that's what we are caught at. It's not to hurt anybody. It's to what are we gonna do to people if we don't act like they're supposed to act.
The last thing I'll say about this is, if this license is up for renewal, which it will be at the end of this month, and people from the building department went out there and inspected, and we had these violations, they could not renew that license. Anyway, that's all I have to say about it.
Okay.
Mayor, can I just respond to one thing? Just for the
Very
record?
quickly.
Yes, sir, very quickly, very quickly. All right, first off, a couple of things. This is a complete misstatement of what the law is. You guys had a great question, Dr. Gordy, about, the issue of safety. The United States Supreme Court specifically says there's gotta be an imminent threat to health, safety, and general welfare of the citizenry where the police power can be used. If there are toxic fumes that are, causing some, Armageddon, that the police power could come in, the city botched it up, because all the city had to do here was just send us a notice, have this hearing, and make the determination. But you can't send the cease and desist and shut us out of business, because there's your constitutional violation. And the issue of the city didn't cause the problem, it did, unfortunately, and I'm sadly saying that, because that's exactly what happened. If the letter had said, on October 10, we're gonna have a hearing for you guys in 3 weeks, and we're gonna talk about your revocation, and we were still in business, that's America. That's 14th Amendment. That's constitutional due process of protection. When the letter was sent, that's why we're here. That's for this good.
Chief, what did you, real quickly?
Yeah, what I wanted to say also is, so when it was determined that there was, an unapproved, that's right, yes. When it was determined that there was an unapproved sprinkler system for fire protection out there on that site, this is all a process, right? So we met with them, we told them what needed to be done, they, started submitting plans. Part of the process is for us to review those plans. That takes time, because the investigation doesn't have to do about what is exactly out there and what is needed. So this sprinkler system that is out there is a required system for that kill. It is. There are additional sprinkler systems that should have been installed throughout the years when they increased that square footage and those conveyor belts, and I could go on and on and on. Mr. Finley says that the engineers were out there. There was one and only one engineer that went to Dudley Lumber Company, Phenix Lumber Company, and that was Chris Rogers. Brandon Hunsinger is not a professional engineer. He is a sprinkler contractor. Yes, he does hold a NICET 3 certification to design a sprinkler system, which this is not an engineered set of sprinkler drawings. This is unacceptable. The comments have gone back with the list of deficiencies in the sprinkler, so-called sprinkler drawings. So, part of the process is getting that information back to you all, and it is not acceptable. So that, yes, is this taking up some time? Yes, it is, but we are doing our due diligence to do our job. That is part of public safety. That is part of life safety out there at that plant, to include the 2 fire hydrants that are out there that are not immediately accessible for our department and our use, and they're not, regardless of it being on their property, their private property, those hydrants were required on private property, and they're not theirs to do whatever they want to do with. So, no one at any time when this process started, to include September the 11th, no one went out there and told them from the fire department that they are in compliance. They have never been in compliance.
Okay, thank you. Well, at this time, I am declaring this administrative hearing closed, and we will proceed on with our agenda. Under administration is a resolution in reference to the revocation of business license from Phenix Lumber Company. At this time, I'd like to call on Ms. Lee for the reading of that resolution. Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Whereas the City Council of the City of Phoenix City has received a violation report on Phenix Lumber Company, a business in the City of Phoenix City. And whereas the City of Phoenix City has a procedure for revocation of business license under City Ordinance Section 46-230 for businesses that are in violation of any ordinance of the municipality or any statute of the state related to the business for which such licenses are issued. And whereas after giving the licensee or the applicant an opportunity at this administrative hearing to address council on this, the 5th day of December 2023, on the issue of revoking a business license, the City Council finds the business Phenix Lumber Company to be in violation of city ordinances and/or state statutes. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Phoenix City, Alabama does hereby revoke the 2023 City of Phoenix City business license of Phenix Lumber Company at 4 Cutrake Road, Phoenix City, Alabama, passed, approved, and adopted the 5th day of December 2023.
Thank you, Mrs. Lee. Council, we have all heard the reading of the resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion, please.
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion from Councilman Gordon. Is that the second, Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. Lee, we have that? We have the motion and the second. Okay, with that, at this time, I'd like to call for the vote. Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gordon?
Yes.
Mayor Lo?
Yes. Proceeding on, council, we do have, the next one on administration is a resolution in reference to extending the moratorium on all annexation through December 31st, 2024. Mrs. Lee?
And I say one thing, just.
No, we gotta proceed on, again.
Okay.
We'll just give it afterwards. We can,
But-
we gotta proceed on.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I just want to say that resolution was drafted before
Mrs. Lee?
they voted. And that's a due process violation.
Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Whereas the City Council of the City of Phoenix City, Alabama is committed to developing adequate plans for the growth and development of the city to better serve, protect, and promote the health and welfare of its citizens. And whereas to that end, the City Council did place a moratorium on all annexations into the City of Phoenix City, Alabama until such plans are developed and implemented per Resolution 2013-497, approved December the 17th, 2013, and did extend said moratorium until December 31st, 2023, per Resolution 2023-01, approved January the 4th, 2023. And whereas it is the desire of the City Council to extend said moratorium until December the 31st, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Phoenix City, Alabama does hereby place a moratorium on annexations into the City of Phoenix City as set out below. 1, that a moratorium be placed on all annexations into the City of Phoenix City from Russell County. 2, that a moratorium be placed on annexations into the City of Phoenix City from Lee County. 3, that the City Council reserves the right to grant exceptions to said moratorium should a proposed annexation be deemed financially feasible to the City of Phoenix City. 4, that said moratorium shall be in effect upon approval for a period extending through December 31st, 2024, at which time it may be extended upon approval by council. 5, that the City of Phoenix City reserves the right to revoke said moratorium, whether all or in part, at its discretion, at any time during the period said moratorium is in place. Passed, approved, and adopted this 5th day of December 2023.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Council, we've all heard the resolution. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion, please. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, we do have a motion from Mrs. Carter. May I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Bailey. Any comments or discussion? Okay, Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy?
Yes.
Mayor Lo?
Yes. And now, council, proceeding on the ordinance. This is the second reading. It is an ordinance to exempt certain items from the municipal sales and use tax during February 2024, referred to as the severe weather preparedness tax holiday. The first reading was on the 21st of last month. I am not going to ask the clerk to reread it. However, at this time, I'd like to ask this council for a motion, please. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion from Councilman Gordon. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilman Bailey. Okay, Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy?
Yes.
Mayor Lo?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, on the ordinance, council, it's a first reading. It's an ordinance in reference to the department or offices of the city of Phenix City, Alabama. Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. An ordinance in reference to the departments or offices of the city of Phenix City, Alabama. Whereas the members of the city council of the city of Phenix City, Alabama wish to establish and organize the departments or offices of the city of Phenix City, Alabama. And whereas section 3.12 of the city charter of the city of Phenix City, Alabama authorizes the city council of the city of Phenix City, Alabama to create, change, and abolish offices, departments, boards, or agencies other than those established within the city charter of the city of Phenix City, Alabama. Now therefore be it ordained by the city council of the city of Phenix City, Alabama, that the following departments and offices shall be established and organized to read as shown in Exhibit A, attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference. Any ordinance heretofore adopted by the city council of the city of Phenix City, Alabama, which is in conflict with this ordinance, is hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict. If any part, section, or subdivision of this ordinance shall be held unconstitutional or invalid for any reason, such holding shall not be construed to invalidate or impair the remainder of this ordinance, which shall continue in full force and effect notwithstanding such holding. Passed, approved, and adopted this 5th day of December 2023.
Thank you again so much, Ms. Lee, for the reading of the resolution, which council we've all heard. And at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion, please.
Motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion from Councilman Day. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Carter. Comments, questions, or discussion? Okay.
I just have a clarification. That was a motion to place it on first
Oh,
reading.
yeah, I'm sorry.
correct?
Motion to place on first reading. Thank you. We have the motion from Councilman Day. We have the second from Councilwoman Carter to place on first reading. Okay, any comments, questions, discussion? Okay, call for the vote. Mrs. Lee?
Thank you. Councilmember Day?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy?
Yes.
Mayor Lo?
Yes.
Thank you.
Proceeding on, council on the ordinance, also on the first reading, is a letter of recommendation for the planning commission, public notice, and ordinance to rezone 7.2 acres of land located at 800 US Highway 431 South from a C1 zone highway commercial residential district to an R2 zone medium density residential district. Love Life Ministry Incorporation is the owner. Mrs. Lee.
Yes, sir. Letter dated November the 29th, 2023 to mayor and city council members regarding the rezone of 7.28 acres, plus or minus, located at 800 US Highway 431 South. Love Life Ministries Incorporated owner. The planning commission of the city of Phenix City met on Tuesday, November the 28th, 2023, to consider the request of Love Life Ministries Incorporated, owner for 7.28 plus or minus acres, located at 800 US Highway 431 South, to be rezoned from C1 zone, highway commercial residential district, to an R2 zone, medium density residential district. It is the recommendation of the planning commission that this request for rezone be approved by the city council. Signed by Tony Taylor, Vice Chairman, Phoenix City Planning Commission, Eliza Phillips, Secretary, Phoenix City Planning Commission. The public notice and ordinance reads as follows. Public notice. Alabama, in response to a request made by the Planning Commission of the City of Phenix City, Alabama, will meet on the 17th day of January 2024 at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at the City Council Chambers Public Safety Building at 1111 Broad Street, Phenix City, Alabama, to consider the following amendment to the zoning ordinance of the City of Phenix City, Alabama. An ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the City of Phenix City, Alabama. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Phenix City, Section 1, that the zoning ordinance of the City of Phenix City, Alabama, adopted on the 17th day of September 2002, be amended so that the following tract of land be located in an R2 zone, medium density residential district, instead of a C4 highway commercial district. Property is 7.28 plus or minus acres located at 800 US Highway 431 South, Love Life Ministries Incorporated owner, and the legal description follows. At said meeting, all persons desiring to be heard concerning the rezoning of the above described property may appear before the council at aforementioned time and place to be heard. Passed, approved, and adopted this 5th day of December 2023.
Thank you. Get your breath.
That's on the slide.
Council, we've heard the first reading. At this time, I would like to ask this council for a motion to accept the letter, to approve the public notice, as well as to place on first reading. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to accept letter, approve public notice, and place ordinance on first reading.
Okay, we have the motion from Councilman Gordon. May I have a second? Second, Councilman Bailey. Okay, comments, discussion, questions? Not? Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy?
Yes.
Mayor Lo?
Yes.
Thank you.
Proceeding on, council, on the license application, this is also second reading. It is an application for an on-premise beer license, on-premise wine license, on-premise whiskey wine license, and billiard pool room license submitted by Linda Russ of Sissy's Place LLC, doing business as Sissy's Place, located at 1004 25th Avenue, Phoenix City, Alabama. First reading, council, as we all know, was held on the 21st of November last month. I'm not going to ask the clerk to reread it, however, I will ask this council for a motion, please.
Motion to approve.
Motion, Councilman Day, may I have a second? Second. Second, Councilman Gordon. Comments, questions, or discussion? Okay, Mrs. Lee?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Day?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Bailey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gordy?
Yes.
Mayor Lo?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, council. The city attorney, we have nothing else. Mr. Graham or Mr. McCoy?
No, sir.
Okay. Council, anything you all want to say, add or take away before I refer to the city manager? Okay. Mr. Humphrey, anything?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, oh yeah, but that's part of it. That's part of it.
You know, I can sit up here, I'm a former fire chief. Pride in it. I was fire chief of the year for numerous amount of years. It was an occupation that I wanted to do ever since I was 6 years old. And we want to put on top today. We want to talk from the heart. Now, the responsibility that we have is to talk and try to listen to one another and try to remedy situations that we have. But every once in a while, we're gonna be at odds. And when you're fighting over what responsibilities are, and you're fighting over the responsibilities of people's lives, we take that very seriously. And I especially take that serious. And the people that here, you know, we don't wanna play games with other people's lives and potential danger to them and their families. And we've had that in the city. We've had people to lose lives. And we don't wanna be responsible for a lot of that. Well, we're responsible for things that going on in the past, or what we're not. We're talking about things that's at hand right now. And I don't want anybody working in a place to think that we've done anything purposely to infringe on them making a living. In our mind, we're making sure that you are here to make a living. That's the way we're probably looking at this, you know? Some people are not always doing you a favor because you have a job, because it can be dangerous. And we consider this real dangerous. That's there, since some people here, I'm glad some people stay around to listen to this. Because it is considered a danger when the personnel here can't do the job that they're supposed to do when they arrive on the scene. I was out there. I worked in a lumberyard, worked with the fire department in a lumberyard years ago. Spent the night out there many times. Almost lost my life several times, falling off sawdust fire with burnt forever that was out there. You know, there's a lot of different things that we wish would get better, and hopefully they will get better now, because it's a dangerous job. It's a real dangerous job, and I stand on that. In my profession and with my life, I stand on that. It can be a dangerous place, and at this point in time, we have got to try to remedy and make it a more safer place. Not only for the people that work there, but for the people that potentially have to go there from here. And because in the past, people did not do what they supposed to have done. I can state a lot of reasons here, political reasons. A lot of reasons, too much friendship, too much family knowing each other. When it comes to life and safety, you have to throw all that out the window. You know, that's got to go out the window. And that's been the problem around here for a lot of years in Phenix City. You know, and when we want to talk about, and I'm gonna say something else, y'all bear with me on this one, because I'm gonna say, when we start talking about the United States Constitution, that's not always great. Because under that same Constitution, my family served under slavery. Now, we don't want to go to a lot of spots. Let's not play with the Constitution when it benefits you in one way, but you don't think about how it's been so low down to other people. So when you bring those things up, I'm really listening, you know, and I'm not, you know, just trying to get anything started, but it's a sensitive issue when it works in one manner, but it don't work for other people, and it's on and cause them all kinds of problems throughout their generations in their life. So let's be careful when we throw that out there. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Let me say this. One thing that I know, that when we are gone from this gig and living in Phenix City and people see us, one thing that we have pride on, that we can hang our hats on, is that this council has been consistent. We have been transparent, we've been very consistent, and I would just hope that that would be something that could be put in the records years down the line, for the next 100 years, that this council, this day, and as we've met all these years, has been very consistent. But one of the things that we cannot do is to, as I said to the class that were here, those attributes has to be in place. And it doesn't always fit everybody, because everybody's not cut the same way. But it is true. And it stands, and it will always stand. But one thing I am so proud to be a part of this council is that we have been consistent. So enough has been said. We've been here a while. Yes. Go ahead.
I do have one thing, Mayor. And then on a lighter note, yes, today was one of those meetings that was necessary for us to continue governing in the manner in which we were elected to do so. And so I'm not gonna beat that dead horse, but I do concur with what the mayor and this council represents, is transparency. But on a lighter note, I want to just say it's a showdown that's going on this week, and we have our student athletes that are in the playoffs, and we just want to send our best wishes to Central High girls athletes and boys athletes. Dr. Gordon, I think you serve on that. We've got the girls flag team and the boys football team. So we want to wish them well, and we want to make sure that they do what they were trained to do, and hopefully we'll have that championship right back here in Phenix City. I believe, Dr. Gordon was on one of those championship teams. First one. We are so proud to have student athletes that represent Phenix City. And so again, we wanna wish them the best, and congratulations through a great season. Girls, awesome. I just wish they had it when I was in school, cause I would've been on that team. But again, we are behind our students 110%. And so with that being said, in the spirit of the holiday season as well, the red I wore today represent that, as well as my home school, my alma mater, Central High School. So again, we are with you, we love you, and we wanna see you bring that championship back. Thank you, Mayor.
Again, thank you, Mrs. Carter. Again, I would like to say this again, the pride that we take in being consistent. That's one thing that we know will never be said about this council. So again,
I wasn't gonna say anything, Mayor, but, as I sit here and listen to what's being said, what was said in the past, and I concur with, the council's member had already stated. Mayor, as I sit here and I listen, we've got to be consistent. As I can think right now, 3 businesses that we went that route with. If we weren't being consistent, this city will be allowed for a lawsuit. And one thing I'm proud to serve on this council, being consistent, it's nothing personal. We're just doing, the facts speak for itself. We just try to do our job as we were elected to do. And I think we are doing that. That's all
I do want to, since it's a great segue, our consistency is very important. But I will say this, and just to caveat, not to, denounce what Mr. Day said, but the consistency does not always prevent us from not being in court. But what it does do, it gives us a great chance to show our consistency. So again, to everyone, I know this has been tough and hard, but again, we do have the fiduciary responsibility as this council to make sure that, first of all, the well-being of people in this community is taken very, 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 very high. So with all that said, again, as I always say, let's continue to be a lifter and not a leaner. And thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all, our department head, for what you all do. I would tell you, Todd, you all did a great, great job with the lights. I know even some people are castigating that, but I want to tell you, it makes me proud when I come down Broad Street. So thank you all for doing that. So with that, at this time, we do stand adjourned. Thank you.